Hello everyone and welcome back to True Crime and Justice. I don't know what you did me lately. I just haven't got motivation to do anything in the daytime. It's now, Thursday, and I've had all week to go and do my garden. Put the lawnmower over it and I can't be arsed. Just can't be arsed. But I will. I'll get it done. Anyway, hopefully I'll get it done before this good weather stops. Hope you've all had a lovely day, wherever you're watching from, and whatever time you're watching from. I'd just like to remind everyone who's watching, I hope you got your tinfoil hats ready. Because this case we're looking at is just getting weirder by the day. Weirder. Now, I've been meaning to do a live on this for a few days or so now because I found got some information off a Rumble clip. Here I was just scrolling through it the other day, and I come across this one clip. Oh, that's interesting. So we're going to be watching that as well. It's only a short clip. It's like a short, but for Rumble. So we're going to be looking at that, and we're also going to be looking at all the people who have gone missing or who have died. Who have died. I'll say that. Right? And the Prime Minister of the USA has said the papers will be released on the UFO situation. So I don't want to see those papers. I don't want to even download them. So we've got to be very careful. What I will say, if you're going to put anything in chat, can you be a bit descriptive with your words? With this case, instead of using certain letters, use error letters or whatever. Flying plates instead of flying whatever. Right? Just be descriptive with your wording. Because I've already lost one channel. I don't want to lose another. And this case, I did cover this on my other channel. So I think this is why I've been a bit apprehensive about covering it again. And I know certain people who have put certain comments in on certain channels, their comments have been removed. So, hi Anne. So as I said, just be, if you're watching on replay and you leave me a comment, just be descriptive in your wordings. If you're watching on my live, again, just be descriptive in your wordings. Because there are 3 words I have got barred from this channel. So if you do put a comment up and you wonder why your comment has been deleted, I haven't deleted it. It just hasn't come through because of a certain word you may have used in your comment. Because if you use certain words, you'll soon find out when you put the comments up because it just won't come through. It won't be accepted. And that is mainly to protect my channel. Because I don't want to lose this again. I'm starting from fresh again. And it's annoying. So we're going to cover this, but we're going to be very, very careful in what we say. Right, we have got And I'm going to play only audio. Right, so we have got something I want to show you. And it's from a YouTube channel called The In Between. The link and the name and the link is on the screen. So please go over and subscribe to her if you're into all this mysterious happenings. I came across her today because I was looking for any information on these scientists, anything. Alright, and I've just come across her channel today. So please, go and subscribe to her. So, I've got some information, other information. I've got a list of all the researchers and scientists that have gone missing. And there's one that went missing. And I actually saw a video today come up on my analog. I ignored it. I wish I hadn't now. Well, I didn't ignore it. No, I didn't. I was watching it. But it was another scientist who found a cure for the big C. Wish I'd seen this years ago. I wouldn't be in the position I am now. And he was found unalived. Or was he went missing? I can't remember. Right? But one of the scientists that has gone missing. Right? And I'm going to hold on, I'll go back up to here. I'll share it with you. Hang on, share screen. And oh, it isn't up there, sorry. I've got to pull it up again, haven't I? Because for some reason, when I clicked my page down earlier to the bottom, when I opened it up again, everything I'd set up for my live had disappeared. Strange. Right? So I'll pull it up again. Here we are. There's the one I was looking at today. Oh God, it isn't on here. Oh, he's not on this list. His name was Frank Maywald. Oh, yes he is. Yes he is, sorry. But they had him down as some scientist working in the area of the cancer, the big C, as well. So, anything else? Oh well. I think this might be the one I'm after. Right. Oh no, Jason Thomas. That's the one I'm after. So I'm going to share this tab with you on the screen. Hold on, I've just got to sort my cat out. So, open. Right. I'm not going to read the whole article. I just wanted to share this. Oh, God's sake. The list of people who are either missing or dead. I'm hoping it has come up on my... No, it hasn't. What a surprise. For some reason, it won't do it. I have to open up another window to share. and it's annoying. Right. Hopefully it'll come up now. Let's go to there, that's what I want. That's why it wouldn't. Okay, right. Right, so hope you're all ready, everyone. Got your tinfoil hats on and all that lot, because we're in for a night. I have been busy trying to find as much information on these people. And Jason Thomas, right? I'm going to Google him, right? I'm not going to share him, but I believe this guy, his parents died. Yeah. Right. Jason Thomas was reported missing disappeared 3 months ago, while his parents' death. Now, apparently, he was in say about his parents. Both his parents died within an hour of each other. Within an hour of each other. Right? His mother died, I think she just died of natural causes, and apparently while they was sorting out funeral things and all this lot, within an hour, the father died of a heart attack. Right? So he was dealing with that at the time when he went missing 3 months ago. But the strange thing as well, and we'll find this with every one of them that have just gone out, walked out the house, gone, they've all left their phones, their watches, everything. The only thing some people have took is a gun, a GUA, a pew-pew. It says here, after Thomas left their home, Bartoli allegedly spotted him outside after she heard the mailbox close. So his wife allegedly saw him outside the house. She then went to sleep but realised her husband had not returned when she woke up a short time later. Bartoli later learned that Thomas had left his phone and wallet on the bathroom counter and found his Apple Watch in the mailbox. That's when she heard the mailbox. So he's putting his Apple Watch through the mailbox. Thomas was later caught on camera while walking near a set of train tracks on North Avenue by Chestnut Street. Right? Wakefield police were expected to search Lake Quannapowick, where Thomas would occasionally walk his dogs this spring. The WPD officer said Thomas was last seen with a puffer-style jacket that has white and either grey or black colouring, as well as black pants, black sneakers with white laces, a black winter hat and gloves. The district attorney announced Tuesday that police had conducted an extensive search of the area for Thomas, utilising resources from the Northeastern Massachusetts Law Enforcement Council, K9 units and drones. The Office of the Chief Medical Examiner will determine the identity of the victim and the cause and manner of death, according to the district attorney. No foul play is suspected in connection with the victim's death, she added. Wow, wow, wow. His wife said everything took care of the dogs after one socialising since the death of his parents. You know what I mean? Everything seemed normal. Okay? But then again, if people is right, you don't know what's going through their head. You really don't. But I just don't get this. You know what I mean? It's like he didn't want to be found because he left his phone, he left his watch, he left everything that could track him. He left behind. It doesn't make sense. Now me, I'd rather someone find me early, even if I had unalive myself. I'd rather someone find me early than have me lying in the ground on the top of the earth somewhere for the birds and all the other animals to get to me. No, I couldn't imagine doing that. So, anyway, so we got him. Alright, and it says, Jason Thomas, a pharmaceutical researcher at Novartis working on cancer treatments, died March 17, 2026, body found in Lake Quannapowitt, Massachusetts. Right? So that was March the 7th, 2026. Then we got Carl Gilmore, a Caltech astrophysicist who's worked on NASA's NEO-WISE and NEO-supervised missions. Pew-pewed outside his home on February the 16th, 2026. Then we got Nuno Loureiro, director of MIT's Plasma Science and Fusion Center, fatally pew-pewed outside his home on December the 16th, 2025. Then we got Frank Maywald, principal researcher of NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, died July the 4th, 2024. Cause unknown. Surely they'd find some cause, be his heart gave away. What? Did he fall? Bang his head? There's got to be a cause. It really has. Even when you're a skeletal, that's the only way they can really say cause unknown, because unless there's blunt force trauma to the head or to the body where you got broken bones which shouldn't be broken, right? Or a cracked skull or a hole in your skull from a pew-pew and things like that. It would be hard to say what the cause was. And then you got Michael David Hicks, research scientist at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, the same place where Frank Maywald worked on the DART project and the Deep Space One mission. He died July the 30th, 2023. Guess what of? Cause unknown. Amy Eskridge, research of anti-gravity technology, the UFO and extraterrestrial life. She died June 11th, 2022, self-inflicted gunshot wound. Now, we don't get much info. I'm going to do another live, but I'm going to split it down over a couple of nights, because I want to do deep dives on all these people, right? And what happened once their bodies were found was how long before their bodies were found was the investigation into it and all this lot. That's what I'm interested in. Right? So we got them lot. And then those are the ones who have died. Then we got William Newcastland. This is the one which has really opened up this case. Right? Even though there's all these other people who have died, have gone missing, this is the one that really, really blew this case open. Right? Missing as of February 20 is a US Air Force Major General, so he's up in the top notch. Missing as of February 27, 2026. Last known to be hiking in Sandia Mountains, New Mexico. No, that isn't what we've been told. We was told he left his home, walked out the house, left his phone there, left his watch there, left all his hiking gear there, but took his gun. He didn't even have shoes on, apparently. So how could he be going hiking if he had no shoes on? How would he go hiking without, like, if you're going hiking, you're a seasoned hiker, you know to take either your phone or your watch with you, where you got people, you got your GPS or whatever, they can locate you. So if anything goes wrong, they can locate you. But he didn't take nothing like that. Nothing. Right? He's an experienced hiker. He wasn't like me. I wouldn't even think of going. My idea of hiking is going up to the local park with my grandson. That's my idea of hiking. If someone said to me, oh, we're going up to these mountains and we're going to hike up, I'll go, are we? Yeah, okay. I'll see you when you get down at the bottom. I'll meet you at the bottom. Because I'm not stupid enough. I'm not, Then we got Stephen Garcia, a government contractor working at Kansas City National Security Campus, Albuquerque, New Mexico. Missing as of August 28th, 2025. Anthony Chavez, a former employee of Los Alamos National Laboratory, missing as of May the 8th, 2025. Then you got Melissa Casillas, administrative officer at Los Alamos National Laboratory, missing as of June 26, 2025. They've even got video of her walking past her house as though she's going hiking. But again, she left everything behind. A phone, a watch. Anything that could locate her, she left behind. Someone who is a seasoned hiker again wouldn't do that. A seasoned hiker is not going to leave everything behind they could need if anything happened. Then you got Monica Reza, Materials Processing Director of NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, missing as of June 22nd, 2025. Now, Monica Reza, that's the strange one. Because if we are to believe who the people that she was with, she should never have gone missing. She was a seasoned hiker. She knew those hills. She knew them like the back of her hand. Right? Yet she goes, and she was like, first of all, the one guy said she's like 30 meters behind us. Then he changed it to 30 feet behind us. And he said when he got to the junction where they turned right, he stopped signalled Monica to tell her I was going up this way, and this is where you got to turn. She acknowledged him, so he went on. He went 100 and some odd feet higher, turned round, she wasn't there. So he's gone back down. Couldn't find her. Couldn't find her anywhere. He even went 125 feet straight on, in case she missed the turning. But she's a seasoned hiker. She knew those hills. She knew where to go. Right? And yet she goes missing. And then, this is what I heard today, and we're going to listen to it in a minute. They come across her red hat. They know it's a red hat because they've got pictures of her with her red hat tucked into, like, her trousers or whatever, or her belt. They found her red hat. So then they thought, okay, we've got an area, we know which direction she went in. So they got the dogs out there, they had helicopters out there. Nothing. In fact, the dogs didn't even pick up a scent of her. You know what I mean? They took the dogs to the area where the hat was found. It's as though she never even went there. There was no scent of her. So they couldn't track her. So that's what I find weird about that case. Yes. Hold on, I'll just get this off my screen. Yes, hikers will take all the right equipment. They're not going to go out, walk out of the house barefoot and, oh, I'm just going for a hike, love. Leave his phone, his watch, anything else he might need. He never took his gun unless he was doing like a couple of nights, like an overnighter. Then he'd take the gun because of any wild animals or whatever. Right? But he took his gun, but he had no shoes. He changed his clothes from what he was wearing when she last saw him, and he had no shoes. You're not going to go for a hike. And as I said, where he lived, the ground would be so hot. So hot. Right? He went missing in February. Where he lived in New Mexico, it's still hot in February. Not as hot as it would be in June, April, May, June, July, August time, right? But it's still hot. So he's not going to, and the roads around there, I showed you before on Google Earth at where he lived, and the roads are very dirty, dusty, like pebbly sort of roads, right? They're like little rough tracks, right? So you're not going to be able to walk far with no shoes on around there. You're not. Plus you've got scorpions. Holy Christ, don't step on a scorpion. Especially when you're barefoot. But he would know not to go out the house with no shoes on. So that doesn't make, again, it doesn't make sense to me, the fact that they're saying he left with no shoes. Well, he didn't go fecking hiking then, did he? Alright, and yet no one saw him leave. There's no footage of him leaving the house. No neighbours' footage. Nothing. He just walked out of the house and went, poof. Really mystifies me how people can just go, poof, as soon as they walk out of the house. It doesn't happen. Unless he answered the door to someone and they've literally just grabbed him and said, you've got to come with us. Right? And that would be the only reason, because perhaps he wasn't planning on going out, so he wouldn't have his phone on him. He'd be in the kitchen. He probably wouldn't be wearing his watch because he's got no need to, because he's at home. Right? He probably got little flippy flops or slippers on. right? So if someone knocked on his door and said, boom, you can't come with us, poof, he's out, he's gone. That's the only explanation I can think of. But then, why would he take his gun and nothing else? Does not make sense to me at all. So then when you've got Monica Reza, she should not have gone missing. She was with colleagues, friends. You know what I mean? How can you go missing when you're with a group of friends? And why did she fall back so far behind them? Did she have this planned? Was she told, look, we've got to put you into safe. We've got to take you and put you in somewhere safe. But why do it when she's out hiking? Why don't you they just do it from her home? Because that just adds more mystery to the case. Because she should never have gone missing. She's a seasoned hiker again. Yes, she's in her 60s, but she's fit and healthy. Alright? So, those two, Monica Reza and William McCaslin, do not make sense to me. And then you got Melissa Cassias. She's 50 something, I believe. She left everything at home as well. She'd been planning to do some activity or go somewhere with someone the next day or something like that, which we're going to listen to. We're going to listen to. This woman's got all the info, right? And I'm thinking, so why would she just disappear? So we're going to listen to what this woman has to from the in between. I find it. I'm going over. I've got that up there. Right, I've got to take some. Hold on. Hold on. Take that off. So I still haven't really fathomed out this Restream app. I'm learning. Even though I've used it before. Right, so we're going to be listening to the audio from the YouTuber the in between. And it's on my phone. I've just got to turn my phone on. Open my app. Ever tried punching your PIN number in upside down? It's not easy. Right? So we're going to listen to what she has to say. Just get my mic in position. So, have you got your tinfoil hat on, everyone? Don't come moaning to me if you haven't. I've warned you. Yeah, it is strange that they left everything behind. Anything they could be tracked. Like the phone, the watches. Right? Why would they do that? And it's like that film that I spoke about once. About some guy who was being tracked by the CIA or FBI or something. Right? For something he hadn't done. And he went up this lift. And he was getting rid of everything. His watch, his jacket, everything was going. He went in and he got to the top of the roof. And the guy who was talking to said, he said, "You're being tracked." He said, "I haven't. I've got rid of everything. I've got rid of my watch. I've got rid of this. I've got..." Right? It was in his shoe. It was in his shoe. So could that be a reason why they've left shoes behind? Just saying. Don't know how true it could be. But could it be a reason that they could be tracking them with a little tracker in their shoes? So let's listen to what this woman has to say. I find it very interesting today. Very interesting.
11 Americans, 4 states, 3 years. They all worked on something the U.S. government would rather keep quiet, and every single one of them is now missing or in the ground. And if you know where to look, a strangely similar list sits in a filing cabinet in London, dated 40 years ago. I'm Carol Ann. Welcome to the In-Between. Between 2023 and the first months of 2020.
Yeah, apparently, something similar to what's happening in the USA happened in the UK, where top scientists and whatever was going missing or coming up dead. She gets all the info, I'll tell you.
At least 10 American scientists, researchers, and government officials have either vanished without a trace or turned up dead. 5 of them simply walked away from their homes on foot. 4 of them worked within the same defense corridors in New Mexico. 3 were connected to the same NASA laboratory in California. 2 were gunned down at their own front doors, and 1 was pulled from a frozen Massachusetts lake 3 months after he disappeared in the middle of the night. These cases were treated as isolated tragedies, unrelated. A missing hiker here, an unsolved shooting there. But when you put the names side by side, the institutions start overlapping. The timelines start compressing, and a picture begins to form that nobody in power seems willing to look at. Now, as usual, we did our best to dig a little deeper. We found a couple of things that add some more perspective to what is going on today. But first, I need to take you to a mountain trail in California, because this story, for me, starts with a hiker who should not have disappeared. On the morning of June 22nd, 2025, a 60-year-old woman named Monica Reza sets out to summit Mount Waterman in the Angeles National Forest with 2 friends. Trailhead sits along the Angeles Crest Highway. The terrain is steep, dry, and mountainous, but Monica knows trails. By multiple accounts, she's hiked the area regularly, possibly weekly. She's fit, she's experienced, she is in her element. The group departs the 6,000-foot trailhead around 6:30 a.m. Early start, which is what you want to do in the San Gabriels. Get up, get to the summit, get off the mountain before the afternoon heat turns the trail into an oven. Now, the identities of the fellow hikers has never been released, so I don't know if they're male or female. So I'm just going to refer to them as Jane and John. Jane throws in the towel after less than a mile and a half because the terrain is just too steep. Monica and the lead hiker, John, they reach the summit around 8:15. Pictures are taken, and they start heading back down. At about 9:01 a.m., a picture is taken of Monica near Double Delight Peak. A minute later, another picture, roughly 70 feet from the first. 6 minutes later, a third picture is taken, her last confirmed location, about a quarter mile from that second photo. Then, they keep walking. John's about 30 feet ahead of Monica. He calls back up to let her know that a right turn is coming up on the ridge. Monica nods and waves at him. He makes the turn, descends about 150 feet. When he looks back, Monica is gone. He waits 5 minutes, then goes back to where he'd last seen her. Nothing. He calls her name. He searches about 500 feet to the west along the ridge, and then 120 feet south. Nothing. No response, no sound, no sign of Monica Reza. Search and rescue from 6 counties respond. Helicopters with thermal imaging, forward-looking infrared cameras, dogs. They even run an algorithmic pixel matching program through their aerial photography.
Now, she's coming down this mountain that they hiked up. Yeah? If she had fallen or slipped, would she not have screamed out? Yeah? Would she not have? Because I know if I, God, I'm gonna have to trip over my own fecking shoe and I'm screaming. Ah! Yeah, stupid fecking shoe. You know what I mean? You'd scream out. So why has no one heard her scream? It was only 30 feet ahead of her, so he says. 30 feet is not far, well it is. Well, no, it's not that far. Right? But why was he ahead of her like that anyway? Why wasn't they staying together? That doesn't make sense to me. You go up as a team, you come back as a team. So, you'd have heard a scream. You'd have heard something.
Equipment calibrated specifically to pick up the red of Monica's shirt. The technology flags some targets, but every time searchers go check them out, all they find are mylar balloons caught in the brush. The next morning, a beanie belonging to Monica is found in a steep ravine south of the ridge, about 600 feet from where she was last seen. A 2 to 3 minute walk. Scent dogs are brought to the ravine but can't pick up her trail. No entry point, no exit. She was not there. She'd never been there, as far as the dogs could tell. And yet, her beanie is. Later that afternoon, 2 hikers returning from Twin Peaks report hearing what sounded like a woman yelling around 2:30 p.m. But they also said it wasn't a cry for help or like somebody was in pain. It was more like somebody was crying out in anguish. The coordinates they give place the sound about 1,600 feet from Monica's last known position, under a third of a mile, a 5-minute walk. Some people said it could have been a coyote. But if it was Monica, why could she scream then but not respond to her name being called hours earlier? If you've ever listened to David Paulides talk about his missing 411 cases, this story has every hallmark. An experienced hiker in familiar terrain vanishes within minutes while just a few feet away from another person. Dogs lose the scent. The body's never found. The search reveals almost nothing. And the details don't add up in ways that feel intentional, as if the case was designed to resist explanation. But here's where Monica's case takes a hard left from the standard missing hiker story. Because Monica Reza was not just a woman who liked the mountains. She was a materials scientist and aerospace engineer who worked at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, or JPL. Before that, she spent decades at a company called Aerojet Rocketdyne, where she co-invented a nickel-based superalloy called Mondalloy in the 90s, with her name on the patent coming in 2010. The Mon in Mondalloy stands for Monica. This alloy can withstand extreme temperatures and pressures in oxygen-rich environments without cracking or igniting. And it solved a problem that the United States had been unable to solve for decades. How to build a rocket engine as powerful and efficient as the Russian RD-180 without having to buy it from Russia. For years, the U.S. depended on Russian-built engines to launch its spy satellites, military communication systems, and GPS infrastructure into orbit. When Russia annexed Crimea in 2014, that put a little bit of a kink in the U.S. and Russia's aerospace bromance. Thankfully, somebody could see the writing on the wall and started scaling up design of new engines, some that included Mondalloy, before the final breakup that happened in 2022 when Russia invaded Ukraine. Because the U.S. government didn't have nice things to say about that little move, Russia took its toys, and went home, cutting off all support for their engines, including spare parts, troubleshooting, and technical assistance. The RD-180 engines that powered our Atlas rockets were suddenly orphan technology. No more service, no more replacements, and Monica superalloy became one of the most critical materials in the effort to build domestic alternatives. Multiple components in Aerojet Rocketdyne's AR-1 engine were made from Mondaloy. The Air Force funded it. NASA funded it. The alloy wasn't just for rocket engines either. Its ability to survive extreme conditions makes it applicable to hypersonic weapons, missile systems, and next-gen propulsion across the board. And the man who oversaw that funding at the Air Force Research Laboratory was a two-star general named William Neal McCasland. But we'll talk about him in a minute, because Monica's disappearance was just the beginning. And the names that follow will show you that this is not a story about one missing hiker. It's a story about a pattern that stretches across 3 states, spans 3 years, and touches some of the most sensitive programs in the United States government. Around May 4th, 2025, roughly 7 weeks before Monica vanished, a 78-year-old man named Anthony Chavez is last seen at his home in Los Alamos, New Mexico. Anthony had retired from Los Alamos National Laboratory in 2017 after decades of work there. His specific role has never been disclosed, which, if you know anything about Los Alamos, tells you something all by itself. When family and authorities search his house, they find his wallet, his keys, and his personal belongings all sitting right where he'd left them. His car is locked in the driveway. No signs of forced entry, no sign of a struggle. Anthony Chavez simply is just gone. He has never been found. So, not even 2 months later is when Monica disappears. And 4 days after that, on June 26, 2025, 53-year-old Melissa Cassius vanishes. She worked at Los Alamos National Laboratory as an administrative employee, but she held a security clearance. Given the nature of what goes on behind those fences, administrative doesn't mean what it means at your local insurance office. That morning, Melissa drives her husband Mark.
Exactly. If someone heard a woman crying, be in pain or anger or something, why didn't they check it out? Or say, asking if she was okay or needed help? Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Right? Because you're not just gonna, oh, was that a woman screaming for help? Oh, you know what? We'll just carry on. We'll log the coordinates and we'll let them know when we get back down the bottom. No. Plus, this was at 2:30. They heard this woman in anguish or anger. She went missing in the morning. So why would she still be up on the hill unless she fell and hurt herself?
To Los Alamos, where they both work. Now, here's a detail that doesn't get enough attention. The story is that Melissa tells her husband she forgot her badge and would have to work from home that day.
Listen to this.
To enter,
right? This woman, the what's her name, Cassie or whatever, went to work with her husband. Her and her husband worked at the same place, probably in different departments, but at the same place. She drove her husband to work, and to get into where she had to take her husband, she has to show her ID card. But she said when she got to the works, she said to her husband, "Oh, I forgot my ID card. I'll just go home and work from home today." But how did she get into that facility in her car without having her ID card?
a parking lot at Los Alamos, you need your badge to get through the gate. She had it when she dropped him off. So what happened to it between the gate and the explanation? At some point during the day, Melissa picks up a sandwich and drops it off for her daughter in Taos. Then she vanishes. She is last seen walking eastbound along a state road near Tulpa in Taos County. When her family gets home, they find her car, her purse, her keys, and both of her cell phones, her personal one and the one for work. Both phones had been factory reset, wiped clean.
Hear that? Both phones have been factory reset. Right? Why would you factory reset your phone? Only if you don't want someone finding some information out. But you see, the thing is, FBI, law enforcement can override that. They'll find that information out anyway.
Recent calls, messages, everything gone. Her family has pushed back hard against any suggestion that she left voluntarily. They've pointed out that she was actively planning to care for her mother during an upcoming surgery. Melissa Cassius is still missing. Stephen Garcia, 48 years old, government contractor employed at the Kansas City National Security Campus facility in Albuquerque, which manufactures over 80% of the non-nuclear components that go into building the U.S.'s nuclear weapons. And his company is directly downstream from Los Alamos. Basically, Los Alamos dreams it up, and Kansas City National Security builds it. His job gave him top secret clearance and oversight of assets worth tens of millions, possibly hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah, because do you remember Stefan Stearns with little Madeline Soto? Right? On the morning that she went missing, before she was reported missing, he did a factory reset on his phone and said, oh, he thought it was an update and he automatically hit the reset. Right? But then they found out he'd also done a second reset on his phone on the Monday night at midnight. So they can put all that information back if they want to.
Some classified, some not. On August 28th, 2025, so just 2 months after Melissa goes missing, surveillance footage captures Stephen leaving his Albuquerque home on foot around 9 a.m. He's carrying a handgun. He left behind his phone, his wallet, his keys, and his car. Authorities initially said he might be a danger to himself, but an anonymous source close to the case pushed back, describing him as a very stable person. Stephen Garcia has not been seen since. That is 4 people, all connected to classified defense and nuclear programs, all vanishing from New Mexico.
Hi, Nero. So good to see you, babes. Right? So good to see you, sweetheart. We're just saying. Hold on. I'll let this run a bit because I'm eating.
Within a span of about 4 months. And I need you to notice the pattern in how they all vanish, because it is almost identical in every case. They walk away on foot. They leave behind their phones, their wallets, their keys, their cars. No signs of a struggle, no evidence of forced entry, no ransom demands, no bodies. They just step out of their lives as though they were shedding a skin. And the devices that could track them, the phones that ping cell towers, the smartwatches that log GPS coordinates, every single one of those gets left behind. Every time. It's the kind of behavior that screams deliberate. But deliberate by whom? Did these people choose to vanish? Were they told to? Or did someone who understands counter surveillance strip them of everything traceable before making them disappear? I don't know, but keep pondering that while we head to Massachusetts. On the night of December 12th, 2025, a 45-year-old man named Jason Thomas left his home in Wakefield, Massachusetts. Jason was an associate director of chemical biology at Novartis, working on cancer treatments. He and his wife had just come home from dinner with friends, and everything seemed normal. They took care of the dogs, and Jason tells his wife he's going for a walk. He opens the front door and walks down the street into the darkness with his phone and his wallet still in the house. Surveillance footage captures him walking near train tracks shortly after midnight, and then he's gone. 3 months later, in March, after the ice thaws on Lake Quannapowick, his body is recovered from the water. No cause of death has been publicly released. Authorities say no foul play is suspected, but they haven't explained how he ended up in that lake or why. 3 days after Jason Thomas vanished on December 15th, 2025, a man named Nuno Loureiro is shot at the front door of his home in Brookline, Massachusetts, and dies the next day. Nuno was a Portuguese physicist and director of MIT's Plasma Science and Fusion Center. He held research contracts with the Department of Energy. The suspect in his killing, Claudio Manuel Neves Valente, shot up Brown University 2 days earlier, killing 2 people and injuring.
All digital forensics. Hold on. Just have to move up, ding it. All digital forensics avoided the sign of a cleanup. Experienced curry. You've been for your curry, have you? You've been for a curry, Nero. So, it's weird. Why? It's like that woman who drove to work with her husband, right? She had to have her ID on her to get into the car park. He had to have his ID on him to get into the car park, right? They both had to show their ID to get into the car park. And then she says, oh, I've left my ID at home. I'll just work from home today. I'm wondering, did she get a message on her phone? Right? Because we don't know nothing about the case. We don't know nothing about the background of this case. Of any of these cases of these people have gone missing, we don't know nothing. We don't know if they received a text before they went missing. Like we know with Castland, there was a maintenance man or a gardener, right? Could that gardener have said to him, passed him a message on? Because it's really weird, though. He was talking to the gardener or maintenance man. His wife leaves at 11, I believe, to go to the doctors. I've got hiccups now. Yes, not Reza. Hold on, I'll find the name for you. It wasn't Reza, it was... it was Cassius. Right? She's the one who drove herself and her husband to work. Right? And then when they got there, she said, oh, I forgot my ID. But she had to have her ID to get in the car park. You're not getting in that car park without your fucking ID. So then she said, oh, I'll just work from home. So she's gone back home. She took a sandwich or something to her daughter. Mid-afternoon time. And then that was it. She went for a walk, never to be seen again. But she was the one who reset both her phones. Her home phone, her home mobile, and her works mobile. Reset them both. Now, we don't know if any of the others have ever reset their phones. That's why I'd like to look into these cases, these people who've gone missing more. But we're not getting a lot of information because of who they are and because of what they did. It's sensitive information, so they're not giving us information. Yeah, it's like they planned it, but it doesn't make sense. Why would Monica Reza, if you're going to plan it, why would you do it with friends? You're going to go for a hike on your own, aren't you? You won't take friends with you. You're just going to go and do a hike on your own and suddenly just go missing.
9 more before hitting Nuno's front porch, then deleted himself the next day inside a storage unit. So we will never know for sure why. Now, Nuno and Claudio were not strangers. They went to college together in Lisbon many years ago, and it is said that Claudio held a grudge against Brown University for being too easy.
Nuno, if you had mentioned it, your comment wouldn't have got accepted. It wouldn't have come through. Well, it shouldn't anyway, because I've got them on my list of blocked words. So, I'll just put it this way, and it's, some people believe it's got something to do with what's going on with the war. Okay? I don't. Not with that war, anyway. And I'm thinking, those who've gone missing, right? Those who've just gone walking out their home. Yeah? Could they not have been put into protective custody? Witness protection. And not only that, Monica Reza, right? She was going hiking with her friends. Yeah? Surely she would have had a phone on her or a watch on her. She's a seasoned. Yeah. Right? She's a seasoned hiker. She went hiking with her friends. That's what I said about Anne earlier when I said just be a bit descriptive with your words. Right? Because she's a seasoned hiker. She went hiking with 2 of her friends. One of them went so far and decided no, it was too much and turned back. So Monica and this other guy, John, whatever his name is, carried on. They got to the top and then they was on the way back down. Annie and Angela make up a word for it instead. Oh, I can't think of anything. Well, if you want to put it as 2 words, like I ran to the shops, make it into 2 words.
Having bad cafeteria food, and against Nuno for him achieving the life that Claudio had always wanted but never got. Okay, seems a little out there, but those people certainly exist. Now, let's flip back to California. Carl Grillmer was a 67-year-old Caltech astrophysicist who had spent decades working on some of NASA's most important missions, including the Hubble and Spitzer space telescopes. In June of 2023, he was the lead researcher on a breakthrough that could help future space missions detect clear signs of life on other worlds, including Jupiter's moon Europa and Saturn's moon Enceladus. He was part of the team that discovered water on distant exoplanets. But by this year, he was working on the NEO survey.
Who is Streamlabs? Streamlabs is a streaming app I was thinking of using. right? Because I'd had enough of StreamYard. But Streamlabs is, to me, very, very complicated. So, over the weekend, I was trying to set it up. And I had to add Streamlabs as a mod. So I did. But then come Monday, I thought, I can't do this. I can't understand this app. So I deleted Streamlabs off my YouTube, right? And every so often, it comes up in my chat. I'm going, what? Yeah, it's an AI bot. It comes up in my chat. I'm going, what the feck? I deleted you from my YouTube app. What the feck are you doing in my Restream app? You have to add us as a mod. No, I don't have to add you as a mod because I'm not using your app. You know what I mean? It's so fucking annoying. So when it comes up, I have blocked them. I think hopefully I've deleted them now from the chat as well. If not, I will just email them and say, look, Beam app, because I don't want you. Yeah. But I would have Streamlabs if they would let me do like a free service like Restream. Right? I can do this free. And then if I like what I'm getting, I can pay for it. But Streamlabs, you have to pay for it. Right? And I'm thinking, no, I don't want to pay a monthly fee. Because it's like something like $27 or something like £20 a month. I thought, I don't want to be paying that money each month for a month to find out a week into it I don't like it. And then I'm stuck with it for another 3 weeks. So I'd rather use a free app if I could, but they won't let you do a free app. So then I'll get my service.
A next generation space telescope designed to detect asteroids and comets that could impact Earth. He built the algorithms that find cold, dark objects against the even darker and colder background of space by detecting the faint heat they borrow from the sun. Carl lived in Llano, California, out in the Antelope Valley. Squirrel moment! While I was looking for Llano, I found Lake Los Angeles. Where's the lake? I don't think it is what you think it is. So Carl owns almost 40 acres in the middle of nowhere, probably so he could get a decent view of the night sky. The news sources say it's the 3700 block of 165th Street East. Considering that there are no other houses anywhere near that spot, it's pretty easy to pick his house. December 20th, 2025, Carl spots some random dude walking on his property with a rifle. Carl's wife says she thinks he's a little weird, but Carl just lets it go. But somebody else calls the cops, and the man is arrested. That man is 29-year-old Freddie Snyder. Freddie apparently lives a couple of miles away. There are only 2 real neighborhoods anywhere near Carl, and one would be too close to make that statement true, so we can pretty confidently narrow down about where Freddie is living. Freddie tells police he's headed to the post office and has the gun to ward off any animals. Seriously? The biggest problem with that statement is that the post office is in the other direction. Freddie spends 3 days in jail on weapons charges and is released on December 23rd on his own recognizance. Just 2 months later, on February 16th, 2026, Freddie allegedly pays Carl a visit and shoots Carl in the chest on the front porch of his house, where he dies before paramedics can arrive. Investigators say the two didn't know each other. No motive has been disclosed. There remain, in the words of the investigators, a lot of unknowns. And we still haven't gotten to the biggest name on the list. But first, there are 2 people I haven't talked about yet. And keep in mind that Caltech, the place where Carl worked, manages the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, or JPL, for NASA. So
Was he? Grill me. Hold on, I've got to put my light on so I can see what I'm doing. Carl Grill me. Yeah. He was blabbing. But he lived out in the middle of nowhere. Like, all these scientists who've got anything to do with NASA and the UFOs and all this lot, they all live out in the middle of nowhere because, pardon me, I've got hiccups, because there's no street lights, so they get a brilliant night sky. Right, so with their telescopes and whatever they have in their garden, they can see clear.
these places are very connected. First, a guy named Michael David Hicks, a research scientist at JPL who worked on the DART project, the mission where we literally crashed the spacecraft into an asteroid to test whether we could deflect one. He dies on July 30th, 2023, at the age of 59. And so far, no cause of death has been released. And Frank Maywald, a principal researcher and systems engineer at JPL, who worked on spaceflight instrumentation and remote sensing technologies, dies a year later on July 4th, 2024, at the age of 61. Again, no public cause of death, and reports indicate that no autopsy was ever done. 2 JPL scientists dead within a year of each other, no explanations. And then a 3rd JPL scientist, Monica Reza, vanishes on a hiking trail 9 months after that. All 3 worked at the same place. Somehow, I don't think JPL is going to make Fortune magazine's best places to work list. Now let's talk about the last guy, and probably the biggest reason that any of this is in the news, William Neal McCaslin. Bill is a retired United States Air Force Major General, 2 stars, with a master's and a PhD in astronautical engineering from MIT. This guy is no slouch. He was also the former director of special programs in the Office of the Secretary of Defense. That means if the project was black, he knew about it. Then he takes the job of commander of the Air Force Research Laboratory at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio, where he oversaw a $7 billion portfolio of research into advanced materials, including Mondaloy, directed energy weapons, space systems, and classified programs that most members of Congress don't even know about. Wright-Patterson, by the way, is the same base that housed Project Blue Book for 22 years. The same base that the Air Force's own 1994 Roswell report described as a logical location for the study of unknown materials. So it makes perfect sense to have him there, since he knows all the secrets already anyway. And McCaslin wasn't just a retired general playing shuffleboard. After leaving the military, he became director of technology at AeroVironment, defense contractors building sensors, space payloads, and laser systems for the Department of Defense. He founded a consulting firm that advised the Department of Defense and the Department of Energy. He sat on the board of Riverside Research, a nonprofit with $450 million in active defense and intelligence contracts. He was still in the game, just as connected to the secrets as he'd always been. His name shows up in WikiLeaks in a batch of emails from John Podesta on a calendar invitation for a January 2016 meeting. The attendee list reads like a Fox Mulder slumber party. John Podesta, Hillary Clinton's campaign manager, and a long-time advocate for UFO disclosure. Tom DeLauw, co-founder of the 80s band Blink-182, who would later release authenticated Navy UAP footage through his own organization, the To the Stars Academy. Rob Weiss, the executive vice president and general manager of Lockheed Martin's Skunk Works, They're the division within Lockheed Martin that makes all the fun stuff. And our friend, Major General McCaslin. He confirmed the meeting time himself in a direct email exchange with Podesta. And in a separate message, DeLong wrote that McCaslin was in charge of the relevant laboratory, and that when Roswell crashed, they shipped it to the laboratory at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Now, that is a claim, not a confirmed fact, but it's a claim made in writing, naming a specific general, a specific base, and a specific event. On the morning of February 27th, 2026, 8 days after President Trump publicly directed the Pentagon to begin identifying and releasing government files related to alien and extraterrestrial life, Bill McCaslin leaves his home in Albuquerque on foot while his wife is gone at a doctor's appointment. He leaves behind his cell phone, his prescription glasses, and his wearable devices, which I assume means like an Apple Watch or a Fitbit. He takes his wallet, his hiking boots, and a .38 caliber revolver with a leather holster. Now, let me back up here for just a second because there is another timeline going on that's kind of important. On February 19th, 2026, the President of the United States directs the Pentagon to release UFO files. February 24th, 5 days after that directive, the United States Navy formally denies a Freedom of Information Act appeal requesting the release of 78 UAP photographs. The Navy confirms all 78 photos exist, but they withhold every single one, citing classified national security information. Interesting. Why do I feel a fight brewing? And just as a little side coincidence, around the same window, the operator of the Black Vault, which is the largest civilian archive of government UFO documents in existence, discovers that the site's main document server has been wiped. Millions of files gone. The hosting provider tells him it looks like a deletion, not corruption. But nobody can figure out who did it and how it was done. Thankfully, all the files are backed up, so the site is up and running in no time. But then comes Friday, February 27th, the day that Bill McCaslin walks out of his house and vanishes. Investigators canvass more than 700 houses looking for security camera footage. Not a single camera captures him leaving the neighborhood. Now, I realize that not everyone has security cameras on their houses, but if you look at his neighborhood, I bet a good chunk of them do. But there are no confirmed sightings, so there's also no idea which way he went. His wife Susan tells the 911 operator something that has stuck with everyone who has heard it. She says it seems deliberate. She says he left his phone behind, which he never does. It's like he planned not to be found. Now, if that's the case, take a look at his neighborhood on the map, and then zoom out. His backyard is essentially the Sandia mountain range. It's just a quick jaunt of just over a mile to get on trails leading into the mountains, and away from everything and everyone. Just food for thought. The next day, the Bernalillo County Sheriff's Office issues a silver alert, which is like an amber alert, except it's for seniors who have demonstrable and irreversible cognitive decline. But Susan says he doesn't have Alzheimer's, wasn't confused or disoriented.
Yes, I was thinking that as well. He was up to one of them. Who was up to testify? Someone was due to testify. I can't remember which one she said now, but one of them was due to testify. Yeah. McCaslin oversaw everything Reza did, but everything to do with UFOs or anything like that, he oversaw it all. Nothing went past him nothing went past his desk without him seeing it. Yeah, they knew that he was, if not him. I think maybe some of these ones that have turned up missing have gone into protective witness, whatever. So it doesn't make sense.
He'd completed a 60-mile bike ride the week before. A lot of news outlets are jumping on the idea that maybe that's not true. Maybe he is having some issues. And they point out that at some point, Bill is said to have mentioned of having brain fog.
Who doesn't? She's just about to say the same then. I have brain fog every day. I can go up off my sofa or off my chair, walk into my kitchen or walk in the bedroom and think, what have I just walked in here for? And you know what I mean? And it could be simple, something so simple like my glasses or my slippers or a jacket to put on if I've gone in my bedroom. Like the other day, I had a delivery come and I asked them to come to the side door. They didn't, they come to the main door. So I've had to go and get my back door key, my keys from out the kitchen to go and open the front door. I've come back in and I put the package down in the kitchen and put my keys down in the kitchen. Instead of straight away, I would normally hang them up, and I didn't. And my daughter come round with my grandson after school, and I couldn't find my keys. I'm going, I'm locked in, I can't get out. Well, I could climb out the window, but I wouldn't have been able to get in. Then I just stopped for a few seconds. I thought, trace your tracks, go back over your steps. And I remember having them at the front door. I remember coming in with a bag, going in the kitchen, and there they were on the side in the kitchen. But I couldn't remember. My brain just went boom, brain fog. Where is it? So we all have a bit of brain fog every day. I was known once, right? When I lived in Birmingham, I walked into this shop and the woman said, the guy said, you look so confused and lost. I went, yeah, because I walked in and then I just suddenly stopped thinking, what am I doing in here? Why have I come in this shop for? You know what I mean? And that was when I was like, the kids were only babies. He was only a baby and Simon was only in reception or year one. And he was maybe in nursery. Right? So I had brain fog then. Now my brain fog is even worse. And I say to my son, he goes, how come you can remember things from like 5 years ago, Mum, but you can't remember what you did yesterday? I said, tell you what, son, make a note on your phone, in a book somewhere. Ask your mum in 5 years' time what I did yesterday. I think I'll be able to tell you. It's a running joke. I can't remember. He goes, remember that conversation we had only the other day? I'm going, no. And I'm looking at him, and my brain is going 100 to 1. I'm thinking, what did he say? What was he talking about yesterday? And I can't remember. But like I told my friend, I said, I don't hold on to information that is not significant to me. If it's about them building a brick wall or them going to this garden centre or them going here, that's not significant to me. Right? I only remember important things now. So I let, we can have conversations and I let a lot of it just go through. I talk to him, but I don't keep it up there. I really don't. Why has Streamlabs been on again tonight? Ignore stream. If they come up again, you can click on them and you get the 3 dots. Click on the message and just block them. And you won't see the messages. Okay? But if I see it come up, then I'll kick them off again. Hang on, ask him where's from, how old? Oh, God.
Doesn't. I know I do on a daily basis. So, we still have no idea why the sheriff's office decided to issue that silver alert. Investigative journalist Ross Coulthart has called McCaslin's disappearance a grave national security crisis because that guy knows where all of the bodies in the UFO community are buried. So let me pull back and show you the web. Monica Reza invented a superalloy that the Air Force Research Laboratory, under McCaslin's command, funded and developed for rocket engines. Melissa Cassius and Anthony Chavez both worked at Los Alamos. Stephen Garcia worked at the Kansas City National Security Campus with heavy ties to Los Alamos. Nuno Loureiro held Department of Energy contracts. Carl Gilmer worked at Caltech, which manages JPL, the same lab where Monica Reyes, Michael Hicks, and Frank Maywald all worked. Jason Thomas worked at Novartis in the Boston Defense Corridor, steps from MIT, where McCaslin earned his doctorate and where Nuno Loureiro ran the Fusion Center. These people didn't just work in the same general field. They worked in the same facilities, on the same programs, funded by the same agencies, during the same narrow window of time. But, believe it or not, this isn't the first time that a significant group of people working on significant defense-related programs have seemingly been targeted. Between 1982 and 1990, more than 20 scientists and engineers connected to GEC Marconi, a major UK defense contractor, died under circumstances that were, to put it mildly, hard to explain. These weren't ordinary deaths. And I need to walk you through some of them because the methods are so bizarre, so theatrically violent, that when you hear them in sequence, the word coincidence doesn't quite cover it. In March 1982, Dr. Keith Bowden, a senior computer scientist contracting for GEC Marconi, drove his car across a divided highway, off a bridge, and into an abandoned rail yard, coming home from a party in London. The authorities say Keith was driving drunk, and his wife and his attorney begged to differ. Friends said that he wasn't really drinking that much, and an investigator made a note that the tires on his car at the scene were not the same tires that had been on the car that morning. His pristine tires had been swapped out for worn ones. In August 1986, 24-year-old Vimal Dajabai, a computer scientist at Marconi Underwater Systems working on a Stingray torpedo control system, jumped 331 feet from Bristol's Clifton Suspension Bridge. He was found with his pants around his ankles and a needle-sized puncture wound on his butt that the coroner called unexplained. His case is still open. 2 months later, in October 1986, Arshad Sharif, a 26-year-old computer analyst at Marconi Defense Systems, ties a rope around his neck with the other end tied to a tree, gets into his car, and drives. Reports say that the day before, he'd been acting really weird, paying for things with unusually large denomination bills. That case is still open too, and the coroner actually called it out as being a lot like the last case. In January 1987, so just 3 months later, Richard Pugh, a 37-year-old computer consultant and digital communications expert, is found in his flat with his feet tied up, a plastic bag over his head, and thick rope wrapped around his body. Police rule his death as a sexual misadventure. Just two.
Now, that last one she mentioned, right, based in the UK, his legs bound together, a bag over his head, and a rope around his head. No. No. Right? Now, if that was any other person, like, I don't know, Joe Bloggs down the road, yeah, being found like that, they'd be going, right, who was he last seen with? What was his activities before this happened? Where did he work? They go into all his history. Did he go out that night? Did he have a partner? You know what I mean? Yeah? Yeah, exactly. And this happened, what, 3, 4 years back, I think she said? I can't remember it. But then again, I wasn't taking much note of anything like that. I really wasn't. Because them days, what, 4 years ago? Yeah. I've been on here coming up to 3 years next year. So, yeah, 4 years ago, I wasn't really into all these scientists and all that lot. I'll just put it down, as most people would, I was just another one. You know what I mean? So unless you're into that sort of thing, you wouldn't really took much notice of it. But when you look at it and see 25 scientists in the UK, that's a lot. And should these scientists in the USA be scared? Hell yes. Yes. And then one person said an interview I was watching today, right? If it isn't anything out of like suspicious, then they need to start looking at the mental health care these scientists get. You know what I mean? If it is just that they can't deal with it no more, I'm going to end my life and all this lot, then they need to start looking at the mental health welfare of these scientists. But it's just too, like 80s. Oh, when you say, yeah, when you say 80s, God. Fuck. 80s. Oh, I still enjoy my life then. Actually, I got married 89, so. But before then, I was enjoying my life. Yeah. So let's listen just a little bit longer.
Months later, in March of 1987, David Sands, 38, a senior scientist at a Marconi sister company, is driving along and makes a sudden high-speed U-turn into an empty restaurant. His car is packed with gas cans. The crash created a firewall so intense, David has to be identified by dental records. In August of 1988, Alistair Beckham is a 50-year-old software engineer at Plessey, another company that supplied advanced tech to the UK Ministry of Defence, so their scientists and engineers sometimes overlapped in projects. Alistair was working on what investigators believed were SDI pilot programs. That's the Star Wars program that Reagan talked about. Alistair is found in his garden shed with wires attached to his chest, plugged directly into a wall socket. The fuse had been bypassed so the current wouldn't trip it. A handkerchief is stuffed in his mouth. His wife says there's no way he did this to himself of his own volition. The Ministry of Defense clears out all of his files from his house within hours. That same month, John Ferry is 60 years.
Hold on. This guy goes in his shed, plugs in some wires into a socket, an extension lead, whatever, shoves something in his mouth, and then puts these wires to his chest and electrocutes himself. Who would do that? Who would? I know how I'm going to lie to myself. I'm just going to go in, plug this wiring, this wire, put these wires to my chest, gag my mouth, put something in my mouth so no one would hear me, and boom, I'm gone. That does not make sense. That seems something like, you know, when you see these films and they're torturing people. Yeah? That seems a bit like that sort of conscription. I worked in mental health for 30 years and I have not seen this many self-delete compared to just the scientists. The rate is way higher than people with depression that you expected. Yes. So, we're going to listen to another short clip in a minute when she finishes out.
Marconi marketing director apparently electrocutes himself by jamming wires into his tooth fillings. This is just a few of the cases in that cluster. Journalist Tony...
What? No. That would, as soon as that one wire hit that tooth filling, that would be enough to send a shock through you. You know what I mean? So, how's he going to get wires to two tooth fillings? Oh my lord. No. I'm sorry, UK, I think you need to start looking back at these cases because some of it's definitely out here. Definitely out.
has documented 25 cases in his 1990 book, Open Verdict. Clive Jenkins, leader of the ASTMS Union, which is the Association of Scientific, Technical, and Managerial Staffs, called the death rate statistically incredible. Members of Parliament demanded an inquiry. The British government under Margaret Thatcher poo-pooed the whole thing, saying it was all just a big coincidence.
Yeah.
Just a few people having personal issues with their high security clearance, high stress jobs. And before you decide to agree with her, just know that multiple victims had complained before their deaths about being assigned impossible or unscientific tasks. Some of them were planning to quit. Others had scheduled meetings with members of Parliament. And after their deaths, Ministry of Defense teams sometimes arrived to clear out their files before the families could even process what had happened. Now, finally, we need to talk about Amy. Amy Catherine Eskridge, 34 years old, Huntsville, Alabama. She died on June 11th, 2022, from what has been reported as a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head. Neither the police nor the medical examiners in Huntsville have publicly released any details of an investigation. No police report, no autopsy findings, no coroner's statement. Nothing. A young woman dies, and the public record is a black hole. Before her death, Amy was researching and attempting to develop anti-gravity technology. She graduated from the University of Alabama in Huntsville with a double major in chemistry and biology. She became an interdisciplinarian who mastered electrical engineering, physics, and genetic engineering. She co-founded the Institute for Exotic Science with her father, Richard Eskridge, a retired NASA engineer who specialized in plasma physics and fusion technology. Together, through their company, Holocron Engineering, they delivered presentations about gravity modification experiments and historical anti-gravity research, including references to alleged classified programs developing triangular anti-gravity craft. Now, Huntsville is not a random place for this kind of work. It's one of NASA's most important hubs. In Amy's words,
now, like, Huntsville is the Silicon Valley of government national security technology and intelligence community technology and aerospace technology.
And it has a very specific history with gravity research that should raise eyebrows. A Chinese-American physicist named Ning Li worked at the University of Alabama.
That was it. I knew there was someone who was due to give evidence. she just totally said it there. You know what I mean?
In Huntsville on anti-gravity theories involving superconductors. She left in 1999 to start a company called AC Gravity, reportedly funded by the Department of Defense. After 2003, she essentially vanished from public life. She was later hit by a car on the university campus in 2014, suffering brain damage that led to Alzheimer's. She died in 2021. The timing of that hit and run occurring after years of deeply secretive DOD funded work raised considerable suspicion. Amy Eskridge knew this history. She operated in the same research community, and she knew the risks. In 2020, Amy said she intended to present new foundational research on anti-gravity, but she needed authorization from NASA before doing so. And that authorization apparently never came. And then there are the things that she said on camera. In a 2020 podcast, same podcast that the first clip came from, Amy explained that she specifically created the Institute for Exotic Science as a public-facing organization for one reason: protection through visibility.
If you stick your neck out in public, at least someone notices if your head gets chopped off. If you stick your neck out in private, they will bury you. They will burn down your house while you're sleeping in your bed, and it won't even make the news. That's why the Institute exists.
She also said the threats against her were escalating, that she needed to publish her research soon. And during a Q&A session at one of her earlier presentations, audience members revealed that other scientists working in the same field harbored fears of disappearing, not as a hypothetical, as a real concern. 2 years later, Amy was dead, and the Institute for Exotic Science shut down. Its website went dark. Her father, the retired NASA engineer, has not publicly spoken. And almost nobody in the mainstream press reported a thing about it until this week, when she was identified as the 11th case in this growing list. But actually, since she died in 2022, that actually makes her the first. The White House has now acknowledged that these cases are, in their words, worth looking into. President Trump told reporters he just left a meeting on the subject and called it pretty serious stuff. He said he hoped that it was random, but that they'd have answers within a week and a half, that some of these people were very important. Congressman Tim Burchett, who sits on the Oversight Committee, has been briefed by, in his words, just about every alphabet agency there is. When he was asked about those cases, he didn't mince words.
I just know there are no coincidences in this town.
He said the only thing tying these people together is that they worked on things dealing with outer space, nuclear secrets, or missiles. And then he said something that stopped the interviewer cold. He said he'd been briefed on something 2 weeks ago that would have set the country on fire if the public had heard it, that people would demand answers. And then he added, very deliberately,
and for the record, I'm not suicidal, and I don't take risks.
When a sitting member of Congress feels the need to publicly announce that he's not suicidal, pay attention. When
he said that because he knew that if he knows that because of what he's just said in that interview, right? His life, he's put his life on the line. So it's sort of like saying, if anything happens to me, it's not because I'm suicidal or anything like that. I don't suffer with depression, anxiety, right? Look deeper. And everyone would think President Trump is the top man. Yeah, please send it me. Right? And, but I tell you now, there's organisations, the alphabet organisations that are higher than Trump. Right? There are these alphabet agencies, they have a lot more pulling power when it comes to anything like this that we're listening to than Trump. Pardon me.
Tells you that the people who know things are dying or disappearing? Pay attention. When the White House says they're investigating and the president calls it pretty serious stuff, pay attention. Because someone is paying very close attention to the people who know America's deepest secrets. Whatever's happening to them, it isn't over. So, what is happening here? I don't have that answer. Nobody does. Not yet. The FBI has been asked to investigate. The White House says it'll look into it. Now, I certainly think there are cases to be made that a couple of these people on the list are coincidental.
Right? When the FBI say they'll look into it, means we heard what you said, we're not doing feck all. Right? It's like when someone says something to me and they go, oh, I don't know, and I'll just turn around and go, okay. Oh, that's nice. Bit like Mrs. Brown's boys. That's nice. If you got nothing else to say, that's nice. Right? Or something like that. Then it's like, I'm not going to do feck all about that. Or if my eyes roll, or walk away from you, then I'm definitely not going to do anything about it. It's like, no, not going there. Not going there. Right? So we're going to finish that there.
Jason
Hold on, you done.
He was involved in cancer research. He had nothing to do with any state secrets.
Yeah.
Of course, that doesn't change the fact that his disappearance and death make absolutely no sense.
That's what I thought, that Jason guy, the one who disappeared, who was doing the cancer research. I'll tell you why. Because, as I said, I was watching a video today and this guy was showing he worked on this cure for quite a while and he come up with this simple, very simple cure sort of thing. And I'm going to have to try and find that video out. And he died, or he went missing. I'm thinking, what? It's because they don't want a cure for the big C. They don't. Right? These pharmaceutical companies, they don't want a cure for the big C. Because it's money coming in all the time for the medication and all that lot. And it's a way of keeping a population down as well, in my opinion. They say if you get it early enough, you're fine. Cut mine early. Right? But you think about it, for 5 years, I'm on medication daily, which is a lot of money. Now, I'm not the only one who's on this medication. There's millions of people. And pharmaceutical companies are raking the money in. That's why they don't want a cure for these diseases and these illnesses. It's like COVID, right? It was after I had the injections for COVID that I found the big C. And I went to the doctor and I went, feck's sake. I said, if I was going to get any C, I thought it would be COVID. right? I said, but no, I managed to get through all that, no problems, right? But then I get hit by the big C. So, but I think I had COVID in 2019 because that year my mum died, right? And I'd been down to Birmingham. I was down there 3 weeks. 3 weeks. It was doing my head in, literally screwing with my head being down Birmingham for that long. Anyway, I come home. I get home to Dundee, and then I had to go back down to Glasgow to my daughter's because we was going to the funeral a week later, about a week or so later. So I go down to Glasgow, meet up with my daughter and her partner. We go down to Birmingham. We get down there, I think, like the day before the funeral. We went to the funeral, went to the wake, got back in the car, come home. Got back to theirs, I stayed at my daughter's for the night, come back home the following day. So in 3 days, well, in just over a week, I travelled back from Birmingham, then down to Glasgow, then down to Birmingham with my daughter and her partner, then 2 days later, literally 2 days later, back to Glasgow, then a day later, back to Dundee. And then, literally 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, I was down at my daughter's again for Christmas. So over Christmas, I was wiped out. Honest to God, I went out with my daughter and I was having trouble breathing. Really having trouble breathing one day. And so I get back to her house and I just slept on the sofa, fell asleep on the sofa. After that, I was fine. I was fine. So I just put it down to wear and tear, you know what I mean? Back and forth, not really adjusting to when I was getting home to having to go out again. I was literally getting home, doing my washing, packing my case and going again. So it's constant like that for about 2-3 weeks after leaving Birmingham. So when I got home from Glasgow after Christmas, yes, I had some sniffles, right? But I always had sniffles when I come back home from Glasgow. I always used to come home and I'd have a cold or something when I got back home. So I didn't think nothing of it. And then in January, we was hearing about all this COVID and all this lot. And I said to my son, I said, you know what? I said, I think I've had it. He said, what do you mean? I said, remember when I was ill over Christmas? I said, I was really ill and I had trouble with my breathing and everything. And my son said, oh yeah, I remember you saying, Mum. I said, yeah. I said, then I had that really bad cold. But I just thought, like usual, I always get a cold, then I get back from my daughter's. Right? He said, yeah. I said, but it just felt different. It wasn't like when I go to my daughter's before I come home. It felt different. I said, so I think I'd already had COVID. But because we didn't really know about it, because it wasn't in the UK at the time, so we thought, but it had to be in the UK for me to have got it because I hadn't been to China or wherever it came from. I hadn't been on no planes, nowhere. But I had been to hospitals because of my mum. I had been on coaches travelling back from Birmingham to Dundee, and then from Dundee back to Glasgow, and then a bus from Glasgow to my daughter, then in their car back down to Birmingham, and then to the funeral and the wake and everything, and then back to Glasgow. So I had travelled a lot and met a lot of been by a lot of people, so anyone could have passed it on to me. And I don't want free energy even now. Anyway, so there's this chap here. This chappie. David Wilcox. She just mentioned him. Hold on, I've got to alter this. Oh, let me alter it. Customize. Take it over to this side. Thank you. Right. This is what I like about this app. I can move my picture from the corners to the middle, all four corners to all the middles or centre. I love that. You know, oh, why is this showing up and not? Oh, fuck's sake. Hold on. Is that it? No, that ain't it. Oh, I'll take that off. And then, okay, I've got to open a new window. Close this, delete that, so I can open a new window. Add scene. Right. And I came across this the other day and I thought, oh, this is right down New Rose High Street. You know what I mean? Right, I've just got to stop some sharing. Stop that sharing. I won't stop that one at the moment because I don't know what that might stop my whole broadcast. Right, so we got this guy, Wilcock. And I can bring him up again. Said it isn't very, but after recording this 3 days prior to, he recorded this 3 days prior to his death. 3 days prior. I think it's a bit longer than what they're playing. I think there was more to this, but they're only playing a short clip. So we're going to listen to it.
I'm excited to be here. You know,
Play up on
every day that I have is a gift and a blessing, and I'm very grateful for that because, frankly, people are disappearing. Sites are going missing. Now they're saying they're going to investigate this. The president himself is saying they're going to look into this and see if anything's going on. It's a little bit scary. I got to say, it's a little bit scary, but you guys knew that I might still show up even though it was last minute and I've had a really rough week. Like, you know, that's kind of like every week, but somehow we keep on making it through all of this.
All right, okay, stop now.
This is how I
I'll show up. So he recorded that 3 days prior to his death. And when you watch it, you actually see him look around. He's quite nervous when he's recording that. He's looking around, and as you can imagine, he's in his own home, but he's looking around. He seemed quite nervous while recording that. I thought, wow. Talk about someone a bit like, should I say this? And you're looking over your shoulders. Should I actually do this? And you know what I mean? When you, I don't know if I should eat this cake. Hold on, is anyone watching? Sort of thing. That's the impression I got. He's so nervous. It's like he's checking to see if anyone's listening. And that was 3 days prior to his death. So something is seriously wrong here. Yes. Those, yeah. Michelle, hello. Yeah, welcome to the Twilight Zone. So, yeah, that was 3 days prior. He recorded that 3 days prior to his death. And that's why when that woman said in that interview, when that guy said what he did, and he said, and I'd just like to say I am not suicidal. Meaning, if anything happens to me, look deeper. Because do I get nervous as they are listening to you? They affect themselves if they are. Oh, I don't get nervous. I'm not sitting here looking over my shoulder thinking, is anyone listening to me? You see, because I don't understand a lot of this. Yeah, you need your king hat. You need your king hat, Michelle, because it's just doesn't make sense. Of every one of those that have gone missing have either gone missing on a hike. Now that Reza woman, have I got her info up here? No, I think I've closed that page down. Yeah, I have. Hang on. Monica Reza, she went hiking. So she should have had a phone on her or a watch on her. You know what I mean? Something to give out her GPR. Because she was going hiking. She was with friends. She'd set off. She'd actually got in the car, drove to this area, got out the car, got the rucksacks on, whatever they needed to do, and set off on a hike. A hike that she has done plenty of times before. A route she knew very well, like the back of her hand. This hike to her is like me walking to Asda and back and tiring myself out. That hike was nothing for her. So she would have had a phone or a watch, right? And some people, when they go on hikes, take an internet phone, right? Where if they are injured, they can call for help on that. In case there's no signal where they are. They take a special phone. But so her disappearance does not make sense to me. If she just wanted to disappear and never be seen again, why go on a hike with two friends? That's only throws suspicion even more, I think. If she could just go on a hike herself, never to be seen again, then you could have probably thought, okay, she could have found, she could be down a ravine. They found her red hat, her red beanie hat, down a ravine. But not her. And the dogs did not track her from that spot. They didn't track her going. They didn't track where she's coming, where she left. It's as though she had never been in that spot. So anyone could have just thrown a hat down there. For heck's sake, even she could have thrown it herself. And then you got those people saying they heard like someone shouting like in anger or something about 2:30. Well, I'm sure to how she will not still be on that mountain at 2:30. And if she'd fallen and hurt herself, I'm sure to how someone would have heard her before 2:30 in the afternoon. Her friends would have heard her if she'd fallen. Her friends never heard anything. So that's what throws me. It's the fact that no one heard anything when she went missing. Right? And then you got, who else was there? Melissa Casillas, administrative officer at Los Alamos National Laboratory. She went to work with her husband, right? They worked in at the same place, probably in different departments, but at the same place. So she drove the car with her husband in it to work. She got in the car park and then realised, oh, I haven't got my ID. You need your ID to get into the fucking car park. He had to show his ID. She'd have to show hers. So like she said in that video, what happened from when she come through the gates to when she parked up? Where did her ID badge go? So she said to her husband, oh, I'll tell you what, I'll just go home and work from home. So she goes home, she takes a sandwich or some roll or something to meet with her daughter or whatever. And then she comes back and you see there's a clip of her walking past some house. So she's going on a hike. But she didn't take her phone. Well, 2 phones, a personal phone and a work phone. Both left at the house, both reset. Right? Both phones were reset. She left her watch. She left her car keys. She left her wallet. Everything. She left. And goes off walking. That isn't someone who goes hiking will do that. She's known to go hiking. You know what I mean? So she knows what to take when they go hiking. In fact, all these people who go hiking know what they need. They know to take plenty of water. They know to take some form of communication. So that if you get lost, you can phone for help. Or they can, if you're not reported back home by a certain time, they can track you on your phone or on your watch. Right? So it doesn't. I just don't understand these ones that are hikers going missing. They do not make sense to me. And then you got that other guy who left everything at home, his phone, his watch, and then found 3 months later when the lake started to defrost. What? No. No. Why would he leave his phone and then leave the house and then, oh shit, I've got my watch. I've got to leave my watch. Don't want him tracking me. You know what I mean? And then so he puts it through the letterbox. His wife sees him. She thought he's just going for a little walk. He's done it before. Then she's realised a little bit later when she woke up, he's not come home. Then you got William Neil McCaslin. Now, if it wasn't for him, I said this at the beginning, if it wasn't for him, all these other cases, Monica Reza, Melissa Casillas, Anthony Chavez, Stephen Garcia, they're missing, right? Amy Eskridge, which we're going to look into now. Michael David Hicks, Frank Maywald, Nuno Loureiro, Carl Gilmore, and Jason Thomas. Right? No one would have batted an eyelid. But because William Neil McCaslin, who's a former US Air Force Major General at the highest level, as I said, he's like the gatekeeper for anything to do with the space and UFOs and all that. Like, he's the gatekeeper. Nothing gets past him. So if it wasn't for him, all these other cases when you... I'm going to get my grandson to make me one. I'm going to get my grandson to make me tinfoil hat for when I do my lives. But this is it, Nero. We're not getting any information on any of it. This is why I want to do another. I'll be doing several more lives on this. My friend just said, "Don't you think I'm Sebastian?" I said, "No, I do stop and do other cases as well, right? And they are missing, and we do cover missing cases, and this is mysterious missing cases, but we're covering it, right? And I don't know. She either ran or was taken out. But as I said, we're not getting any information. The FBI is keeping this zipped up. Boom. Nothing is getting out on these cases. Nothing. So I would like to try and dig a bit deeper, and I'm going to start off with because she was the first one, because she died in 2022, I'm going to start off with Amy Eskridge. I'm going to do 2 to 3 on every live. Right? Spend about 24. About half hour on each one. Right? So if I can maybe do 2 or 3 on each live, I can get through them. Right? And I want to do it in the order that they went missing. Date order. Whether they went missing or whether they came up on a live. Because that self-inflicted gunshot wound, Amy Eskridge, she was out on video, putting videos out there, as you heard her say, if you go public, then you get noticed. If you stay private, you won't. No one knows you. No one even thinks about you. So she was probably took out because she was so vocal. And it wouldn't surprise me if she was going to be saying something at the what's the name as well, the hearing. But I think a lot of these have gone missing. They've either gone into, I think, witness protection, or, as I said, one of these alphabet agencies has got them hidden because of the information they've got. They know. Right? And we don't know, like, we know, like, 2 of them were shot at their home. They wasn't tortured, so they say they wasn't tortured or anything like that. But we don't know about those who've killed themselves. Were they tortured? We don't know. Nothing's ever come out about that. They've just said they died or they walked off and walked into an ice lake. You know what I mean? It's when you put all these people together. 1, yeah, okay, you can sideswipe it a bit. 2, 3, okay, what's going on here? But when you're getting to 11, over what, 3 years? 3 to 4 years now? 11 scientists gone either missing or come up unalive. Then you've got to start asking, what is going on? Is it being a cover-up? Possible. I don't think we'll ever find out what's going on or what happened. I think it'll just come to a point where no one else will go missing, no one else will come up unalive. It'll just come to that point, right, when nothing else happens. But then again, it could start off in another country. What about in China, Japan? They're scientists. We know about the COVID scientists. They went missing. Right? So, people with information like these scientists, like the doctors and scientists in the medical world, are coming up missing. Because, as I said, especially in the medical world, like with that guy with the cancer, they don't want a cure. The pharmaceutical companies and the governments are making so much money off these illnesses, right? The government say they don't make money off him because they're having to pay out for this, this, and this. No, you're not. We're paying for it through the taxes. Yeah? We may get free healthcare over here in the UK, but we're still paying it through it with the taxes and our insurance tax and national insurance and all that lot. We're paying for it, not the government. So you got these big pharmaceutical companies that don't want cures. Just my opinion. Because if they did, if there's no such thing as cancer, boom. All those big pharmaceutical companies are dead in the water. All these hospitals that are there for cancer patients no longer needed. All these fully trained staff who work for cancer patients, like what's that big one in the UK? I can't think who it is now. I'm trying to think who it is. Oh, the cancer research company. But anyway, they'd be poof, gone. No more jobs for them. So many people would lose money if they had a cure for and it's not just one cancer, there's so many cancers. So many. Amy said there was not aliens but humans. If the future came back as a massive catastrophe, it's in video. I'll find and send. I was seeing I saw now today on a YouTube video something about some guy who came back from 2037, and he forecast what's going to happen. I'm thinking, what? Are we getting into the really into that twilight zone now thing? You know what I mean? Yeah, John Babney said they exist. I always said there's got to be another form of life somewhere. We can't be the only planet in the whole universe. We can't be. But the universe is so massive. We'll never know. Not in our lifetime, not in my grandkids' lifetime. We'll never know. Because they apparently went to the moon in 1966? Was he? Is that the year they went to the moon? In 1968? And now they've only just done another expedition where they go around the moon. They're not landing on the moon, they're going around the moon. I'm thinking, why has it took you this long to get another spaceship up there to do this? Why? I'm 60, so it took you like 50 some odd years to get another fucking spaceship up there just to go around the moon. Yes, it'll be taking videos and photos and footage of the moon and all that lot. But it's took you 40 odd years to do it again, 50 odd years to do it again. That's why I don't believe they've ever landed on the moon. And you watch, even my son said it, when they fly past the moon, they won't fly past the area where they're supposed to have landed last time. Because if they do, there's not going to be no flag there flying going, "Hi, I'm here. This is where you landed last time." There's not going to be no flag there. Because they didn't land there. Someone even said the atmosphere around the moon, you could actually burn up going to land on the moon. It's that hazardous to land on the moon. I'd have to try and find that information out for you all. And I'm thinking, well, how did they land on the moon then? How did they land on the moon and how did they take off from the moon? If there's this like layer, like we've got the ozone layer, there's like that sort of thing around the moon, but a lot more hazardous than our ozone layer. I'm thinking, so if that's the case, how did they land on the moon? I've always said that I haven't landed on the moon. These flat earthers, don't get me mixed up with them. I'm not a flat earther. I do believe the earth is round. Right? But I don't believe we went, and I don't believe we landed on the moon. I'm not saying I don't believe we went to the moon. Possibly we went there, but we didn't land on it. You know what I mean? So when they go round the moon, they're not going to go round past that area where the spaceship apparently landed the first time. Because they say the footprints on the moon from their boots will still be there. And if they've got the photographic cameras that they do, they'd be able to see them footprints. Plus they'd see the flag that they put up. Right? And something about the base of the ship when it took back off again, it would have left a crater or a mark there. I'm not sure. But there'd be signs and evidence of where they're landing. They're not going to fly past that area. They're flying around it, but not that area where they landed. But yeah, if you want to send me that video, send it me, Neuro, and I will look at it and we can dissect it ourselves on here. Because everything said on here is allegedly, and in my opinion, and speculation. And tonight is purely speculation. Because we don't know what's happening. And I'll tell you now, we will never know. We can dig and dig and dig. Right? We can try and get the information about how these people have died. Or try and get some more information about how these people have gone missing. When was the last seen? Who spoke to them last? And all that crap. We can try and get all that. But at the end of the day, if the FBI don't want you knowing, if all these other alphabet agencies don't want you knowing, you're not going to know. You're not. So anyway, ladies and gents, you can put your tinfoil hats down because I am on my way out of here. So I'd just like to say thank you to those who've been here tonight. If you've survived this, then I'll see you on the next one. Until then, stay safe. Good night, everyone.
Never slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this,
I'll always show up and make a statement. Everything I do so instinctive and so passionate. Every word I move so descriptive like an adjective. I got a vendetta against people who patented being negative when you should be getting after it. I got facts over tracks, this and that. Spitting slow, spitting fast, I could roast, I could gas. Think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past. And the pettiness, a reflection of the emptiness. Hilarious, you think you're with my time, you're delirious. Mysterious, because you hide behind a fake exterior. Inferior, you know I'll always be a bit superior. Get off of me, this ain't no humble brag. I want you to hear words, you can say them back. I want you to feel free from the chains that last, and to believe in what you got, it was built to last, yeah.